Hello, my name is Joaquín Sarrión Esteve. I am Associate Professor in Constitutional Law in the National Distance Education University in Spain, UNED, and we are talking about several of my publications in order to divulgate the results of my research career. And in the profile, you can see different publications, and today we are going to speak about one of them written in English. Okay. This publication, the European Court of Justice configuration of an European Union constitutional procedural status for consumer protection, is open in the UNED Espacio, that is the institutional platform of UNED for research, and is also available in the website of the review. This article is published in the Revista Quaestio Juris, in the volume 12, number 1, in 2019. You can see in the paper that is available that well, the paper is focused on a jurisprudential or case law analysis, in particular in the case law of the European Court of Justice, in relation to the protection of consumers. As you know, in the European Union, persons can have different status. If you are interested in know more about the status, I recommend you to see the book European Union Status. That is about different status. One of them is the status of consumer that I develop in the book. That is an introduction about the status of consumers in European Union law. But from that, and is published this book of European Union Status with Springer. Well, in this paper, I develop this concept of the status of consumers, taking into account a developed analysis of the European Court of Justice case law. And I defend that the European Court of Justice developed a status for consumers that can be called a constitutional procedural one, and includes several rights. As we know, European Union has a scope of application, and inside this scope of application, the European Court of Justice asks for the guarantee of the effectiveness of rights that are recognized in the European Union law. And the European Union law recognizes a protection of consumers. In this regard, European Union member states, courts, and judges should apply and interpret the national law in accordance with European Union law and in accordance with the rights of European Union law, granting the effectiveness of these rights, including, of course, consumer protection. And in this regard, when talking about procedural law, that is a traditional national law, very linked to the sovereignty and jurisdiction of countries, they must allow the effectiveness of European Union law and fundamental rights derived from EU law. And this includes, of course, consumer protection. And because of that, there are several rulings of the European Court of Justice that declare the disconformity of national law, and particularly Spanish and others national regulations, procedural ones, with European Union law, because don't allow the courts to guarantee the effectiveness of European Union law, including rights and including the effectiveness of consumer protection. I defend in this paper that there is a consolidated status, constitutional procedural one for consumers, that in place that when courts when national courts or judges have the factic and juridical or legal elements to interpret the national law in conformity with European Union law, they must do it. If they have the elements also to disapply national law when it's impossible to interpret the national law with European Union law, they have the obligation to do it. It's the ex officio doctrine, including when the national law, and in the case that national law don't doesn't allow judges or courts to apply the ex officio doctrine, they can do it. So they have the obligation when they have the legal and factual elements to do it. When they don't have the legal elements, they can do it in conformity with European Union law. But they don't have the obligation. This is a problem, of course, with effectivity, but we can ask always for an economic compensation because of the infringement of European Union law. Well, I think that's a interesting paper with several interesting thoughts and interpretation that are very linked to the connections between legal orders, European Union legal order, and also national legal order. I invite you to read the paper. I invite you to comment, and I will be very happy to answer your questions or comments about the paper. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.